Hello, everybody, and welcome to our MediaFutures webinar. We are very happy to have almost 200 attendees registered, and we are ready to share information and facilitate your application for MediaFutures. Just a kind note that this webinar is being recorded, and we will soon upload the video in the YouTube channel of MediaFutures. In the same YouTube channel, you can also find the recording of our previous webinar, which also contains information to facilitate your application. Since we're doing the webinar via GoToWebinar, the attendees cannot speak, they're actually muted, and only panelists can interact and have these rights. Nevertheless, please make sure to use our chat, and we will be very actively adding questions there and adding links relevant to our project and also collecting your questions. So that being said, please also make sure to register for our upcoming matchmaking session. We will be adding this direct link in the chat of here in GoToWebinar, and it's a great opportunity to register there already because our session will be starting at 2:30 Central European Time, and having set your profile in advance will further facilitate you to network and use this time to meet other applicants and discover if you have a good business fit, and you can form teams and collaborate and apply together for MediaFutures. So that being said, we can move to the next slide here. So welcome everybody. We are seeing more attendees joining in, and I would like now to introduce our panel. We are a very big team working for MediaFutures, and I have the great pleasure and honor to have a sub-team of MediaFutures together with us. You can see us in the next slide. My name is Alexandra Garatzogianni, and I'm the coordinator of MediaFutures working for the Leibniz University of Hanover. And I have the great pleasure and honor to have with us today our colleague Louise from EURCAM. Welcome, Louise. Our colleague Tanja from NMA. Welcome, Tanja. Our colleague Vicky from ODI, welcome Vicky. Our colleague Pablo from EURECAT, welcome Pablo. Our colleague Mikel from ZABALA, welcome Mikel. Our colleague Alina from Leibniz University of Hanover, welcome Alina. And our colleague Gerrit from Leibniz University of Hanover. Great, so this webinar is brought to you by this sub-team of MediaFutures, and please use the chat and also take a look at the chat to be using the links that we will be adding there to facilitate you. So that being said, we can move on to the next slide, and we can see an overview of MediaFutures. So MediaFutures is an H2020 project funded by the European Commission. In this webinar, we will be covering various angles of MediaFutures, for example, an overview of the project and what we are really aiming to achieve via MediaFutures, how you can benefit by applying for the MediaFutures open calls. We will also be sharing information about the next steps to facilitate your application. Last but not least, we will be featuring a Q&A session. Thus, please keep using the chat, adding your questions there. Answers will be provided live in the chat, but also we will be having the chance to answer some questions right after our presentations today. And of course, after this webinar, we can proceed with our matchmaking session, which is offered freely for you, and it's a great opportunity to explore and meet other people and see how you can apply together and benefit from the MediaFutures Open Call. So that being said, we can proceed to the next slide, and we can discover together the scope of MediaFutures. So as we know, the challenges of media are not new. They come from ancient times. Nowadays, we have very powerful tools like AI and deepfakes or filter bubbles, and we are also consuming a lot of information online. And this has led to the great spreading, for example, of misinformation, harmful content, and also sensationalism. We also have other phenomena like clickbait or like a lack of trust. So in MediaFutures, we're trying to develop further data and media literacy. As we can see in the next slide, in MediaFutures, we are fully complying with the European values of privacy, GDPR, confidentiality, accountability, and data sovereignty. So we really want to tackle the current challenges of the media landscape together by supporting actively in many ways the applicants via our open calls. So we can see, moreover, in the next slide that we really want to support and promote and enable the creation of content that is inclusive, that promotes diversity and transparency. So our call is mainly addressed to a great variety of stakeholders. So if you are an SME, a startup, or an artist, then this call is relevant for you. And the main goal will be how we can creatively, with out-of-the-box solutions, transform the media industry together and co-create. As we can see in the next slide, our goal is therefore via data, AI, and of course via the expertise of media and journalism, and by using also the artistic and creative approach, our goal is to enhance and support grassroots and quality journalism. So we want via MediaFutures to further financially support participatory and digital democracy initiatives and projects and ideas that will enhance diversity, accountability, fairness, and transparency. So as we can see in our next slide, MediaFutures is supporting all successful applicants via a vast spectrum of opportunities. So besides the funding that you can see on your screens, we offer mentoring, training, networking, and guidance in many domains. For example, in the legal, ethical domain, in the business domain, how you can further grow your startup or SME, how you can be more sustainable as an independent artist. So we offer up to 80K equity-free funding, which is very important for SMEs and startups, and up to 40K for artists. There are various tracks and stages, and we will be further elaborating on that in the next slides. Besides the funding, as we know, to support innovation, we need guidance in many other angles. And that is the goal of MediaFutures. Namely, via our 3 tracks and 4 challenges, we want to offer the means to enable such initiatives and projects to grow, to be successful sustainably, and to produce products, services, and artworks that further foster democratic values and innovation. So our project, as we can see in the next slide, is about driving economic growth and enabling job creation. We offer the means for people to fulfill their potential and grow and provide value. So as you can see here, the list of our open challenges. The first 3 of them are more focused on the current corona challenges that we are all facing. And the 4th challenge is open, so you can unleash your creativity and propose any concept that is interesting for you, and you can also further consult the guidelines that we have. In fact, please make sure to click on the pink plus sign, and then you can see the full detailed description of the requirements of each challenge. It is highly advisable that you consult this and adjust your application accordingly, and I assure you the application is brief, so we do not require a very detailed application, nor is it an application at, for example, H2020 level or requirements. Nevertheless, to ensure that you are successful, please make sure to read the grid here and comply with the challenges set by and requirements by each call. So we can move on to the next slide. And we will now showcase what we offer. And of course, it is really important to think that we invite a vast spectrum of applicants besides data scientists, entrepreneurs, startups, also arts are very important. Art is a key indicator of civilization and a barometer of humanity. So artistic expression is very important for us, also in difficult times, and moreover, enhances creativity in the business domain. So Louise is an expert from EURECAM, and I will give the floor to my colleague Louise, who will be presenting what we offer, and also later on to Tanja from NMA.
Thank you. So as Alexandra said, there are, thanks to MediaFutures, successful application will receive funding, mentoring, and training. And there are 3 tracks artist and startup and SME can apply to. So following slide, please. you see the 3 tracks. The first one is Startups for Citizens. So it's an accelerator program dedicated to startups. Then you have Startup Meets Artist, that is both accelerator and residency, because we are asking teams to apply jointly. So we ask artist and startup to apply collectively. It's really important that you only submit one application for one team. And then the Artists for Media, that is a residency program dedicated to artists. We received several questions regarding the number of applications that you can submit. So I'll try to be really clear on that. One individual can only apply once. That is to say, one person can apply either as an individual or as a team of individuals, as part of a team, or as a company, SME or startup. It is not possible, for example, for an artist to apply as an artist in the AFM and then as part of a startup. One person can only apply once. That's important. And another also an important thing is that an entity can only apply to one track. For example, one startup has to choose between SFC and SMA. You cannot first apply to Startup for Citizens and then propose another project with an artist and then applying to SMA, for example. So that's just something that I think needed to clarify from the question we received. And it's really one project per person. So you can only apply once as one person. But then, as I was saying, for SMA, for example, if you're applying as teams of startup and artists, you only submit one proposal. That's also an important thing. So this being, I hope, clarified, we can go to the next slide where we present the framework for the residency and accelerator. For each track, you have different steps that you will have to go through if you're selected. It's important to understand that at each step there is a selection. So if you're selected, you will not all go to the end of the program. So for SFC, the start phase lasts 1 month and we will select 7 startups. Then for SMA, we will select 8 teams of 1 startup and 1 artist. Each of those will receive 5,000 euros. The start phase, it's really dedicated to refining your project, defining it, starting working on it, getting a bit of training, and also meeting some mentors. At the end of this start phase, you will have a pitch session, and the jury will select half of the teams to go to the build phase. The build phase, it's really the core of the program. It's lasting 5 months. You get training, mentoring, most of the fundings, and you develop your project. We will select for the SFC 3 startups. They will get 50,000 euros. For SMA, we will select 4 teams. Startups will get 65,000 euros and artists 30,000 euros. And AFM, we will select 5 artists. It's a bit specific for AFM because there is no start phase. We directly select from the open call teams that will go to the build phase directly. And so 5 artists will get 25,000 euros. And then after those 5 months, if you succeed in achieving the list of obligation and the different milestones, then you go to the exhibit. Exhibit, it's a demo day where you will present your project. For at this demo day, we will give a prize to the best artist and startup of each track. The prize will be of 10,000 euros for startup and 5,000 euros for artist. So as I was saying, we will follow you, advise you, help you all along this project, along this program. And for this, I will let the floor to NMA, to Tanja, who will present how we will support the startups.
Thank you, Louise. So I'm Tanja from NMA, the Next Media Accelerator. We are based in Hamburg in Germany, and what we are actually doing is accelerating startups. We've been doing this since more than 5 years. We had 11 batches with 74 startups from 15 countries, and yes, as I may say, I think we are quite experienced in accelerating startups. What we are doing is we support with funding, we make connections with key people from the ecosystem, we support with innovation, and here the smiley in the end, you see we want, of course, to have fun, because motivation is a key success factor for innovating and yes, moving forward. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So these are our investors and the partners. You can see a huge amount of German media companies and European partners we are connected to, and yes, we of course want to connect you there as well. Next slide, please. So in here you can see what we are going to offer to you guys when you are applying for the MediaFutures support program. Of course, funding, as Alexandra and we said before, we support you with trainings, with events, with mentorship, and we are going to advise you going through all the program. Talking about training, we have really a large range of different trainings, like data and technical support, storytelling, pitch training, product and business development, business plan review, sales and go-to-market strategy, pricing, and so on and so on. And as you can see here, we have a lot of events. We shifted a lot of our events into virtual events because of COVID, so we are prepared to really run a good program, even in COVID times, which is probably to be in the next month as well. So I think that's it. And I'm moving over to Louise again. Sorry, I think I had a not so strong line at the moment, sorry.
Yeah, but I think we've understood everything. Thanks. So similar to what Tanja said for startups, IRCAM will support and advise the artist. IRCAM, it's part of the Centre Pompidou in Paris, and it's an institution dedicated to promoting collaborations between researchers, engineers, and artists. We are now one of the largest public labs worldwide in sound and music technologies, and we of course host artists every year on different frameworks, production, research residencies, or also a higher education program. We have a long history of art, science, technology residencies. This is why we are here, part of MediaFutures. We organized and are organizing residencies of artists in our lab. So artists from all over the world come to work with our engineers. And we also coordinated a program, Starts Residencies, that is a European program, where we monitored and advised 45 art residencies of artists in research lab and tech companies in different countries across Europe. And so, thanks to this experience and knowledge, we will get the best out of your artistic project. And we will also want artists to benefit from our networks, like us as a cultural institution, but also of MediaFutures Network and of STARTS. STARTS being the European Network for Science, Technology and the Arts project. So we will be there from the contracting period to the end of the program. We will support artists' needs, being sure that they apply and get all the training and mentoring they need. And we will be also a link between artists, startup, and MediaFutures stakeholders in the sense of technology, communication, and dissemination activities. And so I will give the floor to Vicky regarding how we can help artists and startup technically.
Yep. Hello, everyone. So yeah, I'm just going to give you a kind of brief overview of the more technical kind of training and support that we'll offer for MediaFutures. So to give you a quick intro to the organisations that are kind of leading on this bit. So there's King's College London, which is one of the top 10 universities in the UK, and is overseeing the kind of delivery of the training and mentoring. There's the Open Data Institute, which is where I work, which is a not-for-profit, and we work with governments and companies to build an open and trustworthy data ecosystem. We'll primarily be kind of providing training and workshops, some of which are existing resources that we'll draw on, and potentially some from other MediaFutures partners as well. And then EURECAT is the leading technology centre in Catalonia, and research scientists from their team will provide some kind of technical mentorship. So we've just gone to the next slide. Great. This is just where we've kind of drawn out some examples of previous work that the ODI has delivered in this area. So there's Data Pitch and ODIME, which is two kind of EU-funded accelerator programs. Data's Culture, which is our art program. Data Stories, where we worked with kind of artists and storytellers to integrate the impact of data and how it impacts on our lives, and the Data Ethics Canvas, which is one of the ODI products which kind of helps to guide companies and organisations through some of the ethical impacts of data use and how they can best kind of mitigate against those. And we have a specific training course around that, which we'll kind of promote and provide as part of this programme. If we go on to the next slide. Yep. So yeah, this just kind of outlines what we'll be kind of delivering and producing as part of this. So there'll be an open source kind of data innovation toolkit, and King's College London will be leading on the development of that, and that's kind of summarising some of the learnings and the best practice from this programme, so will be particularly helpful for people who are looking to deliver things like this in the future. Training and learning materials, as I've kind of said, we'll be drawing on some of the existing work that the ODI already do in topics like data ethics and data access models, machine learning, and we'll be delivering those to the startups and artists. But we can also potentially kind of tailor those to different needs of people once we know what those are. And finally, kind of access to data and technology expertise. As I said before, EURECAT will provide kind of technical support and will help startups and artists to guide them through the experiments that they're doing. So some of that stuff is already available. So if you go onto the MediaFutures website, you can find some kind of open data sets that have been collated and some tools that people can use. I think that's it for me. So I'll pass back to Alexandra.
Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you, Louise, Tanja, and Vicky for the excellent presentations. It can't be deduced that in MediaFutures we have leading organizations in Europe, and this brings the unique advantage that applicants that are successful can really benefit and work with these institutions, which will be very hands-on, helping them further develop their ideas and become sustainable and contribute to economic growth and job creation eventually. So that being said, MediaFutures is indeed a niche accelerator, and therefore we offer this uniquely customized support addressing the scope of MediaFutures. So I would like to give the floor to my colleague Mikel from ZABALA, and Mikel will very kindly share with us the detailed steps and guidelines to ensure that your application is well received from our side via the MediaFutures website. Mikel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alexandra. Hello, everybody. I'm Mikel Apesteguia from ZABALA Innovation Consulting, and now we are going to explain how to apply to MediaFutures first open call. So going through the next slide, please. As is shown in the following slide, the application process is split in 7 main steps, and this will be indeed the index we will use for this section. So we go through the next first step. So the first step you will have to carry out is to download the application kit available at MediaFutures website and read all the documents gathered within this kit. The main document you must have as a reference will be the guidelines for applicants, where all the details, conditions, requirements of the MediaFutures first open call and program are explained. So please read this document as is key for success. All the information you need to prepare your proposal is there. And in addition, it's of course essential to read the challenges document and the frequently asked questions where most of your doubts will be answered. So going through the next slide, please. The next step, once you have read all those documents, you will have to identify and choose one challenge. An important note is that please consider that you must target one challenge only and explain how you will address it through your application. Going through the next slide, please. As for the submission platform, MediaFutures will centralize all the applications through an online platform called F6S. This platform will be the unique entry point for applications. This means that applications received through any other way will be automatically discarded. Therefore, all applicants will be required to register a profile on the platform to be able to submit a proposal. Here is a screenshot of the homepage of the platform. The creation of an account is really easy. You will have to click the highlighted button, and if we go through the next slide, please, you will see that the information you need to complete is the usual information for a profile. An important note, if you run into any issues accessing the application or your account, please contact the support email indicated in the slide, and the team of XSS will kindly support you. Going through the next slide, please. Now your account is ready to apply, so you will find 3 sections within the application form, and the first one will be the proposal identification. Here, as you can see in the screenshot, you will be requested to complete the name and the acronym of your proposal, what is the challenge and the track you are applying for, and which is your profile, if you're applying as a single individual, as an organization, and so on. Then going through the next slide, please. The second section will be focused on administrative data. Therefore, here you will need to provide information related to your profile. This means that as you can apply as an individual or as an organization, there are some questions that are devoted to individuals and others that are devoted to organizations. In this screenshot, you can see the questions devoted to those applicants applying as an organization. Where you will be requested to provide the entity legal name, the country of the entity, the incorporation year, and the contact email. On the other hand, if we go through the next slide, if you are applying as an individual or as a group of individuals, you will be requested to provide your name, your surname, the contact email, and the ID or passport number. In case you are applying as a group of individuals, you will see that there is a possibility to include administrative information of up to 4 individuals. Going through the next slide, please. The last part of the administrative data will be the information of the coordinator. This means that each application or proposal must establish a coordinator. Probably in most of the cases, this coordinator will be the same as one of the contact persons included above. But please consider that the coordinator will be the unique contact point of the project. So all the conversations between MediaFutures and each selected project must be centralized by the coordinator of each project. And then going through the next slide, after the administrative data questions, it will come the core section of the application process, the proposal description. Here, as you can see in the screenshot, all the applicants will be requested to upload 2 documents, the proposal and a video. In addition, those applicants applying to the artist royalty tracks, it will be requested to include an additional artistic material. And now I'm going to go through all of the documents to explain which are the essential things to keep in mind. So going through the proposal, once you have downloaded the application kit, you will see that there is a proposal template for each of the tracks. Please consider that it's mandatory to use these templates. They had been created to help you. They include guide and comments, and they are aligned with the evaluation criteria. So please do not take anything for granted. Fix to the template and explain everything that is relevant to your application. Furthermore, please consider that the proposal must be uploaded as a PDF document with a maximum size of 30 megabytes. Also consider that the limit page are 10 pages, so everything from page 10 onwards will not be considered in the evaluation. Then going through the next slide, for the video, the essential things you have to keep in mind are that you have to upload what you have to upload in the submission platform. It must be a link to YouTube or Vimeo video where you have to explain your proposal, the team, and the motivation to join MediaFutures program. An important thing is that it does not have to be necessarily professional. With a clear amateur video is enough, and it must be 3 minutes as maximum. Going through the next slide. So as I said before, the applicants applying to artist-related tracks must upload an additional artistic material. This additional artistic material should cater the CV of the artist or artists, the artistic portfolio, the links to past works or videos that are relevant to the application. And please consider that this additional artistic material must be uploaded as a PDF document with a maximum size of 30 megabytes as well. So going through the next slide, once all the previous information has been adequately completed, all the applicants will be required to accept and comply with the MediaFutures Open Call terms and conditions. And also the applicants that are applying to artist-related tracks will be required to accept the residency charter. Finally, the application process is coming to an end, so you will just need to click on the blue button and your proposal will be submitted. Please remind that the deadline to apply is January 28th. So going through the next slide, congratulations and good luck. You have applied to MediaFutures first open call. As you saw in this screenshot, you will receive a notification from F6S platform confirming your application. And an important note is that in case you submit a proposal and you discover an error, and of course, provided that the call deadline has not passed, you might submit a new version. For this purpose, you must request it to us through the open call email indicated in the slide. And also consider that only the last version received before the call deadline will be considered in the evaluation. Going through the next slide, please. Before I end with this section, as a general comment, we would like to remind you the eligibility criteria. What eligible means. It means that you can be legally selected to be part of MediaFutures program. So you must comply and proceed according to the requirements and conditions established in the call documentation. To find out more about this eligibility criteria that is shown in the slide, please read the guideline for applicants. And if you have any doubt, please do not hesitate to contact us. And finally, with this, I end up about the timeline. As I said, remind you that the call deadline to apply to MediaFutures first open call is January 28th. Then you will receive a communication with the results at the end of February or early March. Within March, all the sub-grantee agreements will be signed, and the program, and specifically the start phase, will start on April. And that's everything from my side. We are looking forward to receiving your applications, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mikel, for the excellent detailed presentation. For attendees that joined later our webinar, I would like also to inform you that the video and the slides will be shared via MediaFutures website and YouTube channel. And in fact, if you missed a part of the presentation, there is already the recording of the previous webinar with the same topic, which is uploaded in our MediaFutures web channel, YouTube channel. And such links are added in the chat. So please make sure to use the chat by adding your questions for our upcoming Q&A session. And also answers will be provided to you directly there. I would like to add at this point that in MediaFutures, the European Commission has allocated an innovation fund of 2.5 million euros. And this innovation fund will be allocated to 51 SMEs and startups in total and 43 artists. MediaFuture has a duration of 3 years. And within these 3 years, we will be offering a 6-month customized acceleration program for SMEs and startups, and a respective 6-month customized program of residencies for artists. And that being said, we can now start with our Q&A session, and we can answer your questions. So we have a question regarding eligibility from the UK, and I would like to invite Vicky to address it, as Vicky works for ODI, which is one of our 2 UK partners. So the question is, can we apply from the UK now that the UK is no longer an EU member?
Despite Brexit, UK-based startups can definitely still apply. It says it in the FAQs, but just to specify, UK participates in all EU projects initiated between 2014 and 2020, and MediaFutures is running until 2023, so well within that time. As Alexandra's just said, there are 2 partners from the UK, so that won't change, and people can definitely still apply.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Vicky. Indeed, don't be discouraged by Brexit. We are working together, and please feel free to apply even if you're based in the UK. And we also have a question regarding eligibility of artists, and I would like to Louise to answer the question. So the question is, are individual artists from Russia eligible to apply? And maybe, Louise, you can give us also insights as per the geographical location in the domain of artistic applications for MediaFutures.
Yes, sure. So again, everything is on the website, but I can clarify here. For individual artists, we accept profiles from all over the world. So there is no restriction for individuals. It's really important that clarifying that it's individuals. So here, of course, individuals from Russia can apply. It's important that people from all over the world, individuals from all over the world can apply, but they need to be able to travel to Europe. For example, if they are selected to the demo day at the end of the program, they have to come. And so it's important that they are just they can come to Europe. That's it. Russian are of course eligible. Regarding artistic companies, I just may clarify this. Companies has to respect the same eligibility criteria as SME and startups. So that's a bit different.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Louise, for that. And we also cover all artistic fields in MediaFutures. I am seeing that we are also receiving questions. For example, we have many applicants that are asking us if they can apply at different categories at the same time. So we would like to update you that you can only choose one track and one challenge for your application. And in case you have changed your mind or joined another team, the MediaFutures team will only consider your latest application for evaluation. At the same time, we have some similar questions. For example, if one artist can apply with separate concepts, and the answer to that will be that we need to have one artistic concept per startup. So artists can apply jointly, as a group of artists, but they have to work together on the same concept. We do have some questions regarding if you are an artist and you're also working with a startup or launch a startup, how you can apply to different challenges. So please consider that according to our regulations, the same physical person can only apply to one challenge and as one entity. So please consider that, and it is also listed in our guidelines that you can find in our website. Now, regarding the wide spectrum of the artistic experience, we have received questions, for example, if the category of artists includes musicians. And of course, Louise can also answer that maybe, and we cover a broad spectrum of artistic experiences, provided that they fulfill the evaluation criteria on the website. Yeah,
exactly. We accept any kind of artistic field. So there is no restriction regarding this aspect. We just need, as Mikel said, artists to submit a portfolio and links to relevant work so that we can evaluate the work done and the artistic work, but there is no restriction regarding the field.
Thank you very much, Louise. We also have a question that Mikel can answer. So the question is a challenge that often has occurred. For example, we have interested applicants that are asking if they, what can happen if they're also applying to other accelerator programs in Europe. So for example, if they are accepted already by another acceleration program funded by the European Commission, can they also apply in MediaFutures, or how should they handle that? Mikel, would you like to answer the question?
Yeah, sure. So yes, the answer is yes. MediaFutures is compatible with other acceleration programs in Europe, provided that you don't receive funding for the same work. This means that you can have synergies with other source of funding as long as you use the funding for complementary activities, so for not overlapping purposes. And in addition, it's important to consider that the operational capacity to participate in different funding programs must be ensured. So yes, the answer is yes, but for different work.
Thank you, Mikel. And this is also listed in our guidelines for applicants. So it's very important that you consider this text. It is very detailed, and your questions might be already answered there. We also have a question for Pablo, and namely the question is, what would be the role of the MediaFutures mentors from a data science and technical standpoint? Pablo, we cannot hear you, I'm afraid. Maybe you can unmute yourself.
Okay, now I'm muted.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so mentors in MediaFutures, we will provide participants of the first open call, first with basic training on data management technologies. So we are collecting like different approaches that will be part of that training. And also we will provide them with first level technical support to orient them on how to use the existing catalog of data that is existing in the data infrastructure, and also the tools that are appearing in our curated list. In addition, like contributions in the form of technical developments dedicated to the projects, they will be foreseen in the work plans and budgets of the projects.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Pablo, for the answer. And we have one more question that is actually asking how, if we accept ongoing projects, and how we expect such ideas to be further developed and realized within the framework of MediaFutures. So I would like to give the floor to Tanja and Louise. Tanja will give us the startup SME perspective, and Louise will give us more the artistic perspective. So in terms of artistic residency.
So from the startup side, yes, if your project can, of course, be already developed to a certain degree, we are happy if you have already something you can present to us. But of course, we need to accelerate something, and we want to accelerate something. So we intend to bring your project to a next level of maturity with our training, mentoring, funding, and inviting you to corporates, etc. So we recommend, as Mikel said, not to participate in another accelerator simultaneously to ensure that you devote enough attention to MediaFutures. So you can do, but of course, we are happy if you dedicate your time to the program you're in at the moment. But of course, your project can be developed. So.
Yeah, I think regarding the artist, it's similar somehow. It's okay if you apply with a work in progress, but it's really important that you develop an artwork or an artistic experience within the residency. So you cannot apply with a finalized artwork, for example. So it's really something that needs to be developed during the project. And maybe adding to what Tanja said, when applying with an existing project, you have really to explain in your application what are the objectives that will be reached during the MediaFutures, the one that are really specific to MediaFutures. And of course, you have to answer or try to answer one of our challenge. And so it's something that really needs to be presented in the proposal.
Thank you very much, ladies, for the insightful answers. One more question is, we have applicants asking if they have to go through the matchmaking process and if they can only work with a startup or artist respectively, only via our matchmaking process. Actually, you can select any artist of your choice for this specific category, startup meets artist. The matchmaking we offer is a way to help you connect, because considering the restriction of COVID, we can only meet digitally. So therefore, we offer for free this platform where you can meet and discuss with other interested applicants and see if there is a very good fit to apply together. Of course, this is an optional tool, which is aimed to facilitate you in this process. Another question is if an SME that has been founded over 5 years ago, if it can participate in the call. So of course, this is allowed. There is a respective document to be completed, and please make sure to send us your application. Another question is, how long does the full program last? So we have a deadline for the end of January, and then the successful applicants will be starting the program in April 2021 with a duration of 6 months. That means until September this year. Another question is, there is no start phase for startup meets artist. Indeed, as Louise before presented, we don't have a start phase for this track. Each track has specific requirements, which are very much detailed in our documentation and also showcased by Louise today. So please make sure to carefully select the track that will maximize your chances of success. And indeed, for the Startup Meets Artist track, applicants go directly, the artists go directly to the build phase, and they receive the funding. We have some questions regarding eligibility. For example, can a Swiss company participate in the call? So Switzerland is an associated country, and therefore you can participate. And we have information regarding eligibility also in our guidelines in our website. So other questions have to do with reporting. So we have some questions like if successful applicants have to submit reports. So we would like to let you know that there is no technical or financial reporting at the end of the project and your program. So we will be interacting with you. So your acceleration via MediaFutures will have different requirements from the project management tasks of a usual European H2020 project. We have a question for Tanja. Namely, this question would be, Is there any physical traveling that we have to take into consideration when implementing the project, especially when it comes to the build phase?
So due to the current situation with the COVID-19, for the first residencies and acceleration program, I think the only mandatory travel is probably for the demo day at the end of the program, so which is in September, and we hope we can travel there. The demo day is the final event, and we hope to organize a big physical event. We don't know where it will take place, in any kind, in a place of all over Europe. But for the startups and artist track, we would strongly recommend that artists and startups meet physically at least once, maybe in Hamburg at NMA. So if the COVID-19 situation allows that, and if the situation stays the same as it is, so yes, we have to skip all physical meetings, of course. But as I said before, we try, and we already did that we provided the acceleration program completely virtual. So we are confident that we can do it, but we hope that there will be physical meetings.
Exactly. So we are well prepared. Of course, health and safety comes first, but we are also looking forward to meeting in person the successful applicants and have this personal interaction. So it will depend on the generic circumstance that we all face also at consortium level. Of course, we have established the appropriate infrastructure to enable you to further grow despite the restrictions that are for our safety. So we have one question for Mikel, and the question is about the team size. And can the team size of groups of individuals be bigger than 4 people?
Yes, so yes, the team working on the project can be bigger than 4 people. However, when the proposal is prepared and the team is presented, only the 4 main actors or of the team should be presented, and also only those 4 individuals will be the ones that are able to sign the contract. So yes.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Mikel. So this is the first call of MediaFutures. We can proceed with our next slides since we are approaching the end of our webinar. And MediaFutures will be launching 3 open calls in total via its 3-year duration. So please make sure to check this link. It's also added in our chat. There you can find all information, documentation, including answered questions at the MediaFutures Open Call. And also please use this, our email, Open Call @ to send us your questions in case we have not been able to address them today due to time constraints. Moreover, we are very active on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. So we are very regularly sharing important updates there. So please make sure to follow us there to stay updated. And these links to the social media are also added in our chat. Let's go to the next slide. Our session, our matchmaking session, will be starting in almost half an hour. So please make sure to use this free opportunity. It's a great way to network and see if you can meet people with whom you can exchange contact details and work together and develop together a new innovative project. So this is offered by the MediaFutures Consortium, and the link is also added already in our chat. Moving on to the next slide. We can see more the details of the session. So the session is open for you. It will last from 2:30 till 8:30 in the evening today. So it will be great if you can already set up your profile before. This will help you save some time, and if you can network with other people there, exchange ideas, and enhance your chances of success. Especially if you are looking for a team or if you're looking for other team players, it's a very useful tool. And we really hope that this tool will support you a lot and provide you the opportunity to have business contacts, and get to know other people now that we can unfortunately not meet physically, for example, in a physical event. We can go to our next slide. So the MediaFutures project is funded by the European Commission, and you can see here the consortium that is working for the project. We have leading institutions in their respective areas of expertise all across Europe, and we are really looking forward to receiving your applications, to working with you, to enabling you fulfill your potential and implement your innovative and creative ideas. So it's with a great anticipation that we are looking forward to receiving applications, and we are ready to help you grow, to help you evolve and develop and implement your concepts. That's a very important angle of MediaFutures, and we want to ensure the sustainable uptake of innovative ideas and concepts. We can go to the next slide. So our call is closing. There is still time to apply. The application process is not that complicated, so I would really like to encourage you to overcome potential hesitation. It is very simple, and we do not require detailed input, so we have tried to make it in the most efficient way for our applicants. Of course, there are certain criteria that we have to comply with to be fair in our evaluation. Thus, please make sure to read carefully all our guidelines. They are since mid-November posted on the website. And even if this is your first webinar where you learn about MediaFutures, I would like to encourage you to apply. There is still a lot of time. So our call is closing on January 28th. But nevertheless, we do not require detailed applications. So please do not be discouraged. Just take some time to get customized with our funding scheme, and we are looking forward to receiving your applications and creative ideas. And of course, we're looking forward to working with you and implementing this concept. So the whole MediaFutures consortium wishes you the very, very best of success. And thank you very much for the very high attendance. So we had almost 200 attendees for the second webinar of MediaFutures, and we are very happy to see that there is a lot of interest in the MediaFutures Accelerator. So thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for seeing the recording and the webinar. See you later on in the matchmaking session, and please stay healthy and safe, everybody. Best of success, best of luck. Bye-bye.